or as we like to call ourselves, action figures. They're just pairing us up however we want to be today. Alex, how are you faring this fine Saturday?
I'm doing good, Sean. I woke up really early today, so I'm really ready to go, and I think it's awesome that they're pairing off different casters. This could be a great combination as we look to move on to the next game.
It could be highly volatile.
Maybe not.
I might be really mad at the end of this. But either way, we're trying to find out when we can jump into the next game.
Spontaneous combustion.
Sorry, there's someone laughing off camera. But we're trying to find out what game we're going to be able to jump in on in just a second. We have CauthonLuck versus Nadagast going on right now. I don't know who's up in that series. I know this is game 2 right now.
I'm not sure who's up either, but I'm a good friend of Nadagast. He's a great Terran player. CauthonLuck, of course, is an awesome Protoss coming all the way from Europe. And if they should go to a game 3, then I think we're going to go ahead and cast that.
Now, I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about Nadagast's playstyle, because I think people were very surprised because he's a WoW player.
He's a WoW Arena player.
And he's playing very, very well in this tournament, taking out a lot of big names.
Yeah, he just recently lost the game to HuK, and it was actually a close game. 1-2, and he actually lost it because he moved out. It was a slight blunder. His tanks were not sieged when the Protoss army moved in. It was a slight blunder, and it was a very, very close series. Nadagast is the kind of player that thinks things through. He's not as fast physically as some of the best players in the world, but he thinks. He's a smart thinker, and that's what propels him to become one of the best players.
Now, what sort of unit compositions would he be going for in this Terran versus Protoss where he's playing against CauthonLuck? What is his style?
You know, it's interesting. When he first played Terran versus Protoss, he actually coached Pain User.
Really?
And he was one of the big proponents for mech versus Protoss. But recently, he's been changing that a little bit because he lost to Inca in a previous match.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he decided to start playing Bio versus Protoss, and it's been working out quite well for him. So
he
says it's out of his comfort zone. Sometimes he likes to play mech, sometimes he likes to play Bio.
Yeah, because that's definitely something that we've seen a lot in mech play for Terrans. The tank is so strong that threads are created that say imbalanced, people freak out. But the thing is, tanks are very strong defensively. If you make a lot of tanks, it's very hard to die. And the problem that I think a lot of players are having is they're just not expanding.
Right.
So if you make a bunch of tanks and you don't die, whenever you do move out, you win because you're still up against a one-basing player. But I think as players are starting to open their play up more, Bio, which is a little more fragile, requires a little bit more control, is definitely going to surge forward as the main way to play.
And the interesting thing is, when I've seen Nadagast play Bio today, he's been owning Protoss with it, actually. What he's done is he's mobilized some of his troops, go for flank attacks, drop some Marines and Marauders inside the main, especially Marauders, stim up and kill off some buildings, and then distract the Protoss army and then run in through the front door.
Yeah, I mean, it's those double-pronged attacks that are so effective. We've seen a lot of good players utilizing that today. I'm trying to peek over to see what the results are going to be. And also, I do want to say, CauthonLuck is up 1-0. Just got that information. CauthonLuck played the most epic series against Druby. Tell us a little bit about that series, because I know you were casting, and I was laughing because it was an hour and a half.
That game, like after we casted that game and we went to bed that night, I was dreaming about that game. Like, it was one of the most epic Terran versus Protoss we've ever had, we've ever seen. The CauthonLuck Protoss going for carriers, which was
very
really crazy.
Play.
Popping on a mothership at the weirdest time, it just kind of came out and it saved his Nexus, so it was pretty awesome.
I mean, and that's definitely something that I think is interesting for a lot of the American server players who do tend to be a little bit insular. I wanted to use the word incestuous, but that didn't sound right on air. But they play a lot with each other, right? And that's about it.
Right.
So then all of a sudden you have these new school players coming in. I mean, you get the Korean players like Select coming out. You get the European players like CauthonLuck coming out. And it's just a weird stylistic difference, because carriers, like you were saying, I haven't really seen many American players do that, but we've seen White Raw rush from. We've seen CauthonLuck use them against Druby, and that was just great.
I mean, it was a close game. He did lose that game, but you know what? What he was able to do, here's the problem when you go carriers. Terrans can go Vikings and then just goes around sniping the carriers. What CauthonLuck did to counter the Vikings was he went for a ton of Templar and just started storming the Vikings and then throwing preemptive storm when the Vikings would move in. So that was able to ward off a lot of the Viking pressure. It was a very interesting play. And in the end, he did lose that game to, I think it was Druby. Yeah, he lost the game to Druby. He lost it, but he played brilliantly. And look for him to possibly go for that carrier play again.
Definitely. And I want to also update you guys on the status of the brackets in the winners bracket. It is HuK against CauthonLuck, having that nice sort of Dr. Zeus poetic feel to it. And also we have HuK against Last Shadow. And honestly, I think if there's one player who's surprising everyone here, it's Last Shadow.
Yes, indeed. He's been playing very aggressive style Terran.
Everyone.
What we just saw in the last game when he was playing against Slush is he built Reapers and then transitioned to Marauders. Pretty standard ever since LZ has started doing that. Go for those 3-5 racks Reaper and then transition to Marauders once the Zerg player gets all those roaches, because Marauders demolish roaches. But what Last Shadow does is he pulls out with his SCVs, too. He just
25
goes
SCVs.
Balls to the wall and just tries to kill the other player.
And then whether it works or it doesn't, no big deal. He'll just do the good old 15 worker comeback.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, this is actually quite clever because in the later stages of the game, let's say I have 60 workers and you have 60 workers.
Right.
Just for make-believe purposes, right? So
60 workers.
If I start muling, I'm going to get a little bit of an edge. I might have maybe 10% higher income than you. But if I have 8 workers and you have 8 workers and I start muling, I'm going to have like 200% better income than you. It is basically saying if we both have no workers, I have mules, I can win. And that's exactly how we saw him win against Slush. And it's kind of this, it looked crazy, but it had this funky logic to it that I haven't really seen in many other players.
Yeah, it's something that Last Shadow does very well. Look for him to keep that aggressive play up, and you know what? As he moves forward to play, I think that he's definitely got the ability to be in the top finishing positions here today.
Yeah, I mean, he's already in the final 4 of the winner's bracket. I do believe that has that already guaranteed him prize money. At the very least, he's very very
I'm pretty
close.
sure here at Major League Gaming in Raleigh, North Carolina, they are going to be paying out the top 8 places. So that's 8 places that they're going to be paying out today, and so I think he has already guaranteed himself a slot in that position.
So, I mean, HuK versus CauthonLuck in that matchup, CauthonLuck I know very well, but I've never seen him play here at the tournament. Mysteriously, he keeps avoiding our casting claw, our casting talons. We can't scoop him up. But, I mean, HuK did manage to defeat QXC 2-0 in a pretty shocking series.
Yeah, first game he went for that proxy Stargate, pumped out those Void Rays, and unfortunately QXC never really scouted that out. Void Rays came in, charged up on the rocks on Delta Quadrant at the 12, and then just moved in and started to destroy all the buildings. So that was a very
insta-1. Yeah, it was
very fast win. And of course, in the next game, really, he didn't go for Void Rays that game, but he just overpowered him, and it was a very convincing win each time.
Yeah, and QXC, again, I don't know if any of you saw this, but QXC was very upset at his loss to Select. I mean, yeah, did the good old fist slam. I mean, I personally have broken a keyboard at a tournament and just snapped in half.
The keys fly.
I went into HuK mode, yeah. Everyone was like, people in the restaurant
That's the opposite of what Last Shadow does. When he wins, he goes, boom, he jumps up, he's like, yeah, and he just runs away. So he doesn't even give a handshake to the player that he just defeated.
He runs
Slush
away.
Was like,
he just jumps into the nearest bush, and you don't see him until his next match. He just burrows.
Yeah, wow, it was very intense. A lot of high energy today from all the players.
Yeah, and what's always really painful in these tournaments is that somebody has to lose. And I mean, a lot of people love double elimination brackets because it does give the good players a chance to continue to play.
Right.
It does give the better player more shots at winning. But it's always really bitter because you're always on edge in the loser's bracket. It's not like, for instance, in a round robin where you even if you get eliminated, hey, maybe I took a few games off player. I got eliminated as 1-2 in my group. But I mean, it's very frustrating sort of crash in the loser's brackets.
Yeah, well, you know what? The nice thing about having double elim compared to single elim is, like you said, you have that comfort zone. So it removes a little bit of the random element because StarCraft has a random element, as we all know. You can get cheesed out of the first round, and then you fall down to that bracket down below, and then you got to work your way back through. But if you have that safety bracket down below, you can kind of pump your way back up again. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it does look like Select went 2-0 against QXC. Again, very surprising result. QXC has a very strong Terran versus Terran, but I'm always shocked when you see these players who are just online beasts come into these LAN environments because it's just so rattling. Because you know when you lose in private, game didn't happen. You know, and if someone posts a replay, it's not me. Someone smurfing on my name. Someone paid $60 and just stole my name permanently on Battle.net.
Happens all the time.
But clearly.
There are so many day imposters. I can't tell you how many day 9s I've ran into. Oh, yeah, all the time on ladder. Is that really you, Sean? And they're just quiet.
Free advertising as far as I'm concerned.
Viral.
I'm Day 9. This is HD. I'm more than happy to plug ourselves. But I mean, when you lose at a tournament, you look up and there's like your opponent's friends like patting him on the back and like everyone's looking at you and it's going, he lost. You know, it's always so stressful. I hate the 5 seconds after you've lost. I mean, I generally just sit quietly in my computer, but I mean, again, I've been going to these things since 2001, so
you competed in WCG, so
yeah,
you know the bitter sting as well as the victory.
I've had many awful, terrible losses, like getting tired and just saying, I'm just going to 5-pool. And he just coincidentally went barracks supply, so we just had more Marines than I had Zerglings, and I was like, wow, shouldn't have 5-pooled. But, you know, it's the sort of thing that it takes a lot of live tournaments to be able to just be able to lose and not let it get in your head.
Right. Well, it's all just building up that mental fortitude. And, you know, I think right now Nadagast and as well as his opponent CauthonLuck have just finished, and CauthonLuck did indeed win. So CauthonLuck went 2-0.
is eliminated from the tournament.
Out of the tournament.
CauthonLuck is a very impressive player. I love his PVZ quite a lot. I haven't got the chance to see too much of his PVT, with the exception of the 3.5-year game that was casted yesterday by HD and Husky. So I do believe we're going to get the chance to cast CauthonLuck against HuK, which is going to be awesome.
Amazing game.
So I'm going to go ahead and begin messaging those players to set that up. And HD, it's all you for a bit.
All right, so as Sean gets ready to bring those players into the game, we are going to be looking once again at CauthonLuck versus HuK, and this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss. So far, HuK has been going unimpeded this entire tournament, and nobody has stopped him.
Has he even lost any games yet?
I'm not sure if he's lost. He hasn't lost any series. Not sure if he hasn't lost any games yet, but he has just been steamrolling every player that he comes up against. Really quite an amazing Protoss player, and of course he has that confidence. He exudes confidence wherever he goes.
I know, even his outfits look confident. They have like little tears in the back. He doesn't care. He had a sweater and just said ghosts, and that's all. I was like, ooh, that's like so awesome. It's almost cartoon character-esque in terms of his mighty Protossness.
Might be a little bit of a way to throw off his opponents, like, I'm just HuK right here, but then when he plays
little
the game,
guy, but then he has very powerful fingers.
Very powerful fingers indeed. He is just demolishing all players, and it's going to be interesting to see if CauthonLuck can put up a front. Is he going to be able to hold him off?
Because what I love about CauthonLuck is that he's so aggressive. We were talking a little bit about this yesterday, that CauthonLuck really has not changed his underlying goal of getting more Marines and Marauders than you've ever done anything in your life. He just loves those core units. But he had this huge slump like near the end of the beta.
We didn't see him that often at the end of the beta.
And people just kept thumping him in tournaments, you know. I mean, like they would get they'd get like 3 Colossi, and you wouldn't quite have enough units. But CauthonLuck didn't give up. He didn't get into these, you know, mental counter triangles where he was just trying to get the right units here and there. He forced his Marine Marauder to work with really nice expo timing and really nice aggression.
Well, look for him to possibly go for that bio against HuK. HuK, likewise, I've seen HuK play before. He likes to do a lot of different strategies. In the last game when he played, obviously, against QXE, he did try to tuck away that Stargate and go for those Void Rays. And how do you feel about CauthonLuck versus Void Rays? Is he able to deal with that quite easily?
Well, it depends on what opening he decides to do. He does love doing what I would consider like the canonical TVP opening, which is you get 1 Barracks, you get a Marine, and then you get 2 Marauders, and 1 Reaper, and you push with the Marines and the Marauders at the front, and you bounce into the back with the Reaper. So whether you do any damage at the front or not, you always scout with the Reaper.
Right.
And because you did all this on 1 Barracks, you magically have 400 minerals, you expand, and CauthonLuck really loves getting a lot of Barracks after that. And what makes this style so good is that he gets stim fast. And if he is getting the stim fast, and I think he's going to be okay against the Void Rays, and I've even told HuK he needs to friggin' start expanding, because his 1 basing stuff is very fancy and very cool, but CauthonLuck is the sort of player who, again, wants to make Marine Marauder work, and defense, he has very good defense over time.
All right. Well, it looks like we're almost ready to get this game on the way. I was actually speaking with HuK earlier in the center of the StarCraft 2 playing field here that we have in North Carolina, and he expressed his surprise at what seems to be a pretty common kind of opening now against Terran, where the Protoss would come in and try to block the front from being blocked off by throwing up a pylon where the second supply depot would go, and time it out so that he'll rush out a Zealot, cancel the pylon, then bum rush the Zealot into the Terran base. So that was actually what knocked Nadagast out.
That is awesome.
And so HuK was like, wow, I should try that. So maybe he's going to try that out.
I can 1 base even harder now. HuK, expand, please, man.
He loves his 1 base play.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, not to discredit him. I mean, what makes HuK such a powerful player is that he does 1 basing right. Too often people just 1 base because it just doesn't really occur to them to take more expansions. You know, if you come from StarCraft 1 background, you start your game plan. It's like, how am I going to take my 3rd base fast? You know, you always want more money. You're a hungry player, yeah. But with 1 basing strategies, you're essentially saying, I'm never really going to have too many units. I need to do something cute. And he's very good at these 2-pronged attack. He's very good at timing the Immortal pushes at the front, doing that Void Ray fanciness. Right.
Well, he is very good at 1 base play. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Do we actually have the map pull? I think that
yeah, it is going to be on Xel'Naga Caverns. This map is going to be a very funky first set. In Control actually picked this map against LZ Gamer, so some Protosses do have a little bit of comfort on it. But Xel'Naga Caverns, I think it's weird because of all the entrances that there are to the natural expansion.
The natural is very wide and exposed.